attempt two of It's Just Me. Of course, I'm Brent Fox. I'm sorry about the glasses, y'all. I know it's reflective and it's actually just mirroring me. Y'all will just have to excuse like the technical difficulties, okay? Um, okay. So I am going to try this again. I wanted to come on here and discuss Juneteenth and what it basically means to me, okay? So for those that are watching, happy Juneteenth. And I just basically wanted to go over what Juneteenth was. Of course, for those who don't know, Juneteenth is June 19th, 1865. The Union had actually come down to Galveston, Texas to announce that slavery has been, has actually ended. So the the people that were actually my ancestors that were actually in bondage were set free and were basically saying that this was the particular, and as a result, celebrated this particular day, celebrating their newfound freedom. Now, of course, freedom ain't free. Salute, Coach. Jared was just on here, man, and then real life situation happened, and I had to get off the first attempt. But thank you so much for coming over. I know that you guys are busy doing um, HBCU fanatics. Y'all, please check out that show. It is if you're interested in HBCU football, please check these brothers out. They are very knowledgeable and very entertaining at the same time. So please check out my brothers on YouTube and also all social media platforms. So yeah, y'all please check them out. But boy, real life situation, real person, real life situations, man. My son banging on the door. Um, no, I can't, son. I'm doing a show. You never know what you're gonna get. This is real life. But I just wanted to mention what I was one oh okay, okay, I got you. Yeah, I don't think this live is gonna be too long, bro. So I might actually be on there. Or I might actually be able to watch the show. Um oh yeah. Sean is boy, Sean's something else, man. Anyway, um Juneteenth was always celebrated with by us native Texans, especially in Dallas and in Houston. We've celebrated this. We've actually celebrated this particular day for as long as I could actually remember. Now, yes, there were celebratory barbecues. Of course, us being us, we had Juneteenth parties and all that good stuff. Um, and but we celebrated freedom. We celebrated like our Caucasian counterparts would actually celebrate the 4th of July. Today is our day to celebrate our freedom, okay? And I recently put in a Facebook post that if I'm unable to tell you how you can actually celebrate July 4th, you should not be able to tell me how to celebrate June 19th. So, for those that are actually just trying to live random random text and all of that. Um, Today is not really going to be the day for it. Now, the first attempt that I actually made, there were some people that came in here and made questionable statements. Today is just not going to be the day. Okay. Hello. I think this is a running pad. Hello. Hi. Welcome. I'm just discussing Juneteenth and the significance of it and how it was actually celebrated before it became popular by a very unpopular president. So, um, so basically, what Juneteenth. actually was. It was just a day to just kind of celebrate life in general. Okay, and then what question did you actually have? And I'll just kind of discuss Juneteenth while you're getting ready to ask your question. Please make sure that it is a suitable question, or else we'll have to just escort you out. Um, but basically, Juneteenth gave us an opportunity to just kind of celebrate life and celebrate each other. And it was almost like an unofficial type of reunion, if you will, with us. It's just kind of a day for us to just kind of hang out, and then be able to, just be able to just kind of fellowship and hang out with each other and just kind of celebrate life, if you will. What's going on, Jasmine? Welcome. Now, hello, hello, Savannah. Okay, and I think basically this particular day, if you're mixed, could you celebrate Juneteenth if you're mixed? To be quite honest with you, whatever people like actually identify you as, if you have like, and I'm assuming that you're talking about black. If To be quite honest, let me just put it like this: if white people consider you black, then sure, yep. Um, you you could definitely celebrate. Yeah, if white people consider you black, then yes. Um, if black people consider you black, more importantly, then yes. As long as you have some sort of black lineage running through your DNA, and that if you have to fill something out, you have to fill it out and say that you're Black American, sure. And to be quite honest with you, you brought up a pretty good question, because all Black Americans are actually mixed with something, regardless of how dark their skin is. All Black Americans are actually mixed with something, whether it be Native American, whether it be Caucasian, whether it be Hispanic, whether it be Asian. We are all actually mixed with something here as Black Americans. So yeah, I would pretty much say that yes, if you are considered black on any type of application or something like that, then yeah, you should be able to celebrate Juneteenth. If you can trace your ancestors back to slavery, and of course they were in bondage, then yeah, sure, yes, you could celebrate Juneteenth. Um, but I thank you for bringing that up, Irani Pad, or Arian Pad, or is it Aaron? Is it a Ronnie Pad or Aaron Pad? Okay, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. I apologize. But yeah, that was a pretty good question. So yeah, all right. So I think that also here, especially like in Dallas, where I'm from, and still reside. Well, not so much. I actually moved to another northern suburb, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Texas Juneteenth was actually still like a big deal to us. Um, because it gave us it was kind of almost like it was almost up there on the hierarchy of black holidays like Martin Luther King Day, Juneteenth, and then some people celebrate Malcolm X Day, which was back in May. I think it's May 15th, which is Malcolm X Day. A lot of people are very unaware of that particular day, but that day, that day is actually celebrated by a pocket of us throughout America. So, I think that that would probably be the next thing that may wind up getting recognition. Now, it's not going to get any recognition by uh, the main U.S. administration, But I think more as information, of course, becomes easier to obtain, I think that once people actually research and then figure out that Malcolm X Day, I think is May 15th, then I think that holiday may actually wind up coming to the forefront. Uh, let's see what's going on with this chat. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. I was trying to I'm so sorry, guys. I'm still kind of relatively new to doing the lives, and I think I accidentally bumped myself off trying to check the chat. So I apologize about that, y'all. Just bear with me while I just kind of sift through these messages. Um, wow. Okay. I do not. Yeah. No. Why is okay? These Q&A stickers are something else. All right, Caesar 55. What's going on? Um. Now, did I mean anybody in the chat? Do you have like any decent questions? And I'm not. Yeah. Again, once again, you know, today we celebrate our freedom here as Black Americans. I'm not going to tolerate any type of foolishness trying to mock today or trying to mock anybody black or trying to down talk anybody that's actually black or anything else like that. Um, I you will get removed quick, fast, and in a hurry. But if anyone has maybe any questions about Juneteenth, um, I can I will do the best I can to make sure that I answer those particular questions. So while we're probably waiting on that, and I apologize, I know about the glare in the glasses. It's just kind of reflecting the screen that I'm looking at. I apologize, guys. Kind of new to this whole situation, but yeah, yeah. Um, I would agree to that. I would Yes, I would like everyone to make sure that they show reverence and respect to Juneteenth. But make no mistake about it, it's a holiday that should be set aside for Black Americans, especially those who had slavery in their ancestry. So, yes, everyone should be able to revere and respect that particular day to celebrate the emancipation of Black Americans here. Um, but make no mistake about it, the holiday should be intended for descendants of slaves. So, but I appreciate you, Cesar. Thank you so much. Um, just kind of a random thing here. The colors for the meaning of the colors for the Pan African flag, which is red, that's going to be on the top, black, which is in the center, and then green, which is on the bottom. Just basically mean this. Red is actually for the noble blood of our ancestors. Black, of course, is right on the nose. It just basically means the black race. And then the green, which I kind of found interesting, was just the abundant natural resources of um, of the land, basically. Whether that be the motherland in Africa or whether that be the actual land here in America. So I found that particularly interesting. Now, there's also a Juneteenth flag, which is actually red and blue with white trim, and the star inside of the flag there. Um, so, oh, what's up, Jared? I appreciate you coming back, brother. Thank you for coming back, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. That first attempt at the live, I was actually trying to answer the door and I didn't know how to pause the live. So I thought I paused it, but I actually cut it off. So yeah, man. Yeah. The things you kind of just learn on the job. I'm usually used to like shooting a video and then having to like upload it on YouTube and then having to call it a day. So, I'm still getting back in a groove of just trying to make sure that I do these lives correctly and all of that good stuff, man. Um, but oh, um, Juneteenth was actually celebrated by my folks. I mean, as far as back as I can actually remember. Um, Now, to be quite honest with you, I was born and raised in Dallas, right? But my dad is from Mississippi. He's from Oxford, Mississippi, where Old Miss is. Um, Unfortunately, Mississippi is very reluctant, even still now, to just kind of go over basically what the institution of slavery was, and then when they actually disbanded. Now, I'm pretty sure that Mississippi was probably one of the first places where they disbanded slavery because that's basically where they held all the slaves. They had cotton crops, gin crops, all, and then they had cotton crops and all that good stuff. Um, as far as as far as like the type of labor that they actually did, and that doesn't even count with our ancestors having to actually build their cities and communities, by force, of course, for them. Now, yeah, my mother's from East Texas, so I think that they had an idea of what Juneteenth was, and then they did actually celebrate it. Um, we would probably just have like get-togethers at one of the aunt's house or something like that for Juneteenth. Um, but it is not as it wasn't as extravagant as it was then. It was just kind of like an opportunity for us to get together. To be honest with you, we kind of did it like Martin Luther King Day, to where hey, we may throw some on the grill. We'll get everybody together and have a good time. But yeah, um, I as far back as I remember, and I'm 40 plus. I ain't ashamed to say that. As far as back as I remember, we did actually wind up celebrating Juneteenth on some level. Now it's not to the level that it actually is now, but we did actually know what Juneteenth was, and then celebrated it. So there you go. To be quite honest with you, Jared, now that I think about it, Juneteenth to me, Juneteenth kind of got popularized in the '90s when we were trying to. That's the original woke era, if you will, because Malcolm X it came out and people were reading the autobiography of Malcolm X and all that good stuff before the movie came out to just try to get them ready. And then you know we took our parents and grandparents passed down family history, but they also passed down Black history, which just kind of made us more aware of what was actually taking place before we were born. So, and I think that's probably part of our problem as a community. We're not passing down family history, more importantly, but we need to make sure that we actually pass along Black history as well, man. But I think if we actually take some time to make sure that we do that on year round instead of just trying to concentrate it on February, we would be much better off. Um, and not to kind of get into a whole tangent about this, I think that's probably why some of these kids are so detached from people just saying the N word so much around them. I have a stepdaughter who thinks very, very differently from what I do. And I think that there is like a severe disconnect. Excuse me. I think that there's like a very severe disconnect with with history with that particular word, and that's why they don't feel like they're too much affected by it. To us and generations behind me, um, yeah, I appreciate that, Cesar. Thank you, man. But yeah, I think that with with that particular word, that word um came before lynchings. That particular word came before people burning crosses in your front yard. That particular word came before, excuse me, before like fire bombings at churches and things of that nature. That word actually came before police dogs actually being sicked on people and fire hoses actually being turned on people and people actually being beaten by police men and women that were actually supposed to be serving the community. So that particular word actually means significantly more to us because we are aware of the origin and the history of that particular word. These kids um, don't actually have weren't actually educated on the basis or the origin of that particular word. So of course they're not going to take it too seriously. And as a result, you have people that feel comfortable or you have people that actually are very tolerant of other folks saying that particular word and feeling like they can get, they can actually get away with it. That's unacceptable, to be honest with you. And I think until we are actually able to just kind of uphold a standard saying that it is unacceptable to use that word, even with, and eventually even with us maybe using the word, um, then that particular problem is not actually going to go away. And then, to be quite honest with you, the way that the world is actually functioning, it it is trying to make it is trying to make a rotation back into the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. Now, I think it's very important more now more than ever to make people aware that this is that the particular methods that they would actually use are unacceptable here today in 2026. Now, voters rights and things of that nature are actually being taken away from all marginalized groups like working class people, whether they be black like myself, white or Hispanic, or even Asian. um, the rights of the working people are actually being taken away. But unfortunately, um, this is nothing new for Black Americans. Like, we've been through adversities, um, and you know, people are basically freaking out about it. But this is nothing new for us. I mean, day to day life, we're having to face adversities as far as just being judged, just by who we are and who we quote unquote appear to be. Um, I it's regardless of what tribe. Oh, okay, all right. Well, salute to you. Salute to you. Um, now as far as what we're trying to actually do as a people, I don't think Black people are any different from any other group on the face of this planet. We actually want to be able to work, make an honest living, come home and live a peaceful life. but because things are actually passed down by others from generation to generation, because let's just be honest, hate is actually taught at home. Um, there are children aren't born to actually hate anyone else. Hate has to be actually institutionalized, and it has to actually be taught to children. Um, Children don't really care who they actually play with if you leave them to their own devices. They just want to play. Um, but if you're teaching your child, hey, don't play with them, then of course, after a few whys, then they eventually get it and like, oh well, I should not play with them because of such and such and such and such. Um, which is completely wrong. But unfortunately, that is part of how this world actually functions. And to be quite honest with you, racism is not going to go anywhere. As long as people are actually different, there is going to always be a form of discrimination. I think that the way that you handle that is just by minimizing the opportunities to discriminate, and also just be sure to make sure that everyone, and this is in a perfect scenario, everyone has a level playing field, but that's not happening. Um, and that's regardless of anywhere that you actually go. Um, a lot of people feel as though that moving to Mother Africa is a solution as far as escaping the harshness and the reality here in America. But unfortunately, Mother Africa has actually been so colonized that in some places it could be worse there than it actually would be here. Now, I'm not saying that. Now, I'm not saying by any means America is an actual safe haven for Black people. I mean, there are countless cases that show otherwise. But to be quite honest with you, and this is only my opinion, I'm an American. I'm Black. This is my home. I do not think that even if you were to try to send me back to Africa, that would actually work. This is, America has been my home. This is all I basically know. Now, if I needed to, would I be able to adjust to a different environment? Of course, you have to. But my thing is, and I'm just going to go ahead and speak from the heart. My thing is, if if those of us that were actually sent here in bondage to become slaves for American slave masters, um, and I hate to wind up giving fuel to people that people that actually are extreme racist and things of that nature. Um, if we were actually sent over here to become slaves, then the people that actually sent us over here didn't really value us too much anyway. And I'm talking about the people from Mother Africa. Now, it is actually true that some of the prisoners that some of the countries in Africa were forced to surrender people as slaves. But there was also some willing participants that did actually just literally sell out their people. And I think that's probably where that term originally derived from, if you think about it, that they were actually selling their people out just for profit. So I mean, there are two sides to that particular coin, obviously, but I think, unfortunately, since Africa was so heavily colonized, they did have to actually surrender some people, and then send them over here as slaves. Now, um, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure what efforts actually could have been put in for the people from Mother Africa to come back over here and quote unquote bring us back or rescue us or whatever. I think that the unreported 500 slave revolts that were actually going on just kind of shows or indicates the resilience of American black people. Um, so it's not it was, unfortunately, look, a huge chunk of our history is not actually going to be told. That actually has to be researched. And shout out to my brother, I am Trill Will, for doing research on these particular subject matters. I would not have known that there were up to 500 slave revolts here in America. And oh my goodness. It wasn't just Haiti that had like the slave revolt. It was that there were 500 other instances where there were slave revolts. And also um I did read a Black AF history. Y'all please read that. Um I know the gentleman's first name is Michael. Brothers from South Carolina, man, and I forget the last name, but it's Black AF history. There is a story of a gentleman by the name of Forrest Joe, um, that was basically revolting against people that were actually enslaving others, and he, like Nat Turner, was notorious for actually taking out these people that actually owned slaves, and people that were actually, excuse me, and then just kind of like the well-to-do Caucasian people that thought that, blacks were inferior. He actually wound up scaring the bejesus out of them, and then you know having so much, and having them actually fearful um to do any type of wrong at one point to any freedmen, African Americans. Of course, now if you were still in bondage or in slavery, you were considered property. So they, for whatever reason, didn't feel like that was wrong. But if they were trying to harm any type of black freedmen or something of that nature, then yeah, it was excuse me. Yeah, that's exactly what I was mentioning, Jared. Yeah, it's a big misconception. Now, I will say that yes, unfortunately, there were people that actually did sell us as or barter us for trade, but that was a small pocket. That was a very small pocket of people. And yes, most of our folks that were forcibly surrendered for slavery were prisoners of war. So yes, you are absolutely right. Um, but yeah, back to Forrest Joe. He was a nightmarish version yeah, of Nat Turner. Um, so, and I actually found that very, very interesting. Now, unfortunately, the story of Forrest Joe doesn't have a particularly happy ending, but at the same time, his impact was definitely felt. So much so that other people don't really want to talk about that one because they took a series of L's behind it. Um, Forrest Joe was very innovative. He actually made he actually made like one of the first versions of a bulletproof vest, things of that nature. So very interesting read, man. Check out Black AF History. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed that particular story in that particular book, and there are more enjoyable stories in that book, Black AF History. So yeah, y'all please check that out. Um, but yeah, knowing those particular type of stories and then hearing about the revolts that actually happen, kind of make you take pride in your ancestors. And then, of course, um the saying that, oh yeah, we're not our ancestors, that doesn't necessarily mean that all of our ancestors were passive. Now, let me be completely honest with you on that particular type of saying. All right. And this is probably going to be a full circle type thing. Now, you talking about that, oh yeah, I'm not my ancestors and I wouldn't take all that and all of that, right? Um, if you get pulled over and the police talk to you crazy, are you going to talk to them crazy back? And are you gonna are you gonna spit on them or smack them around or anything else like that? Probably no, because you want to make sure that you survive the encounter, right? So when you talk about that, oh, we not our ancestors, and we wouldn't have took all of that and all of that. Listen, back then, it was a lot easier to lie on someone and then have them killed. Please see Emmett Till, and that actually just be that, and nobody's gonna get prosecuted, nobody's gonna be brought to justice about it, nothing like that. They're just going to do whatever they want to you, and then if they feel merciful, kill you or delete you. I'm sorry, delete you, and then that's just gonna be that. The people that actually deleted Emmett Till um weren't really brought to justice. And it took the lady that accused Emmett Till of whistling at her on her deathbed to confess that he really didn't do that. And that was almost, what, 65 years later or something like that. And may that lady burn in eternal fire. I really, I don't like to wish ill on anyone, but that one, she can burn in eternal fire. I definitely hope that I I definitely hope that her internal organs are burning every day and that there is fire actually burning through her eye sockets and out her nostrils and through her throat. Um, there is a special place in HELL for you. Um, Juneteenth is also a reminder of our humanity. Um, to be set free from a horrible condition of slavery, um and then pretty much being told that you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You do that, and then those same people that tell you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps come into your community and out of pure hate and jealousy destroy that community, and then tell you basically that you have to start all over again. And you know oh or as a reminder that you need some sort of savior to actually help you. um it's just beyond me. I And I don't want to sound like a segregationalist or anything else like, or a separatist, excuse me, I'm sorry. um I don't want to sound like a separatist, because I think that all people need to work together to make humanity better overall. But what I will say is this: for those of us that just do not value people that actually look like you, there is going to be one point in time where you are going to have a wake up call. And when that basically happens, you better hope that you have not burned your bridges with your people. And if you have, then unfortunately, you're just going to have to stay where you at. All right? You just going to have to stay where you at. So, again, Juneteenth actually is a reflection. Yep, that's exactly, yeah, that's exactly what it is, Jared. It's that wake up call, baby. It's that wake up call. But yeah, I just, Jared, I just can't understand why people that actually look like us don't take pride in who they are. We are the most resilient group of people on the face of this planet. Look at what we have to actually face day for day in real life. Day for day in real life. I don't think that there's any other group of people that is actually built to handle the things that we actually handle on a day to day basis. I don't think there's nobody. And, of course, with our culture, we the authority on cool. Um, people actually just want a swagger jack and all of that. Um, people want to walk like us, talk like us. You know, show the athleticism that we actually have, the style, the flair, the shoot, even the confidence that we actually display. And then sometimes the way that we're actually able to craft words. People actually want to participate and try to emulate that. People actually just want to emulate our creativity, things of that nature. It does my heart good, especially on a day like this on Juneteenth, to know how resilient we actually are, and how strong we actually are, and how even with this administration, and then all the negative things that have actually been happening to us, we can still hold our head up high, knowing that adversity is just a regular occurrence, and that's something that we actually in battle and we fight off every day. Like, I don't think any other group on the face of this planet would be able to handle something like that. You know, this is why I actually love underdogs so much, because we are, we are actually underdogs. To be quite honest with you, nobody's actually really, really rooting for us. Now, they want to, now there are some people that actually want to see a certain group of us actually do well, but not too many. Not too many. But not too many of us do well is what I mean. Not too many of us do well, but just a certain group of us, and that's acceptable. Um, okay, I appreciate that, Cesar, man. Thank you so much, man. For multitasking, and I definitely appreciate you literally working through on this, and then listening to me. Um, but yeah, it does my heart good to know that resilience is a big part of who we are, and then being able to just kind of glide through this thing, and look good, and still be able to feel good somehow despite the obstacles that we face on a day-to-day basis, man. That yeah, Juneteenth is just a microcosm of us celebrating who we actually are. And I think that's why this day is actually so special, to be quite honest with you. It's not just a day just to celebrate the emancipation of enslaved people, but it's also a day that again just kind of gives us an opportunity to freely express ourselves, to celebrate ourselves, to just to be with ourselves and have a good time with ourselves. And I think that that's very, very important. I think it's very, very important that we are able to just celebrate each other, enjoy each other, and then, you know, just value each other while we still can. And then on that note, y'all, I wish y'all a happy Juneteenth. This has been It's Just Me. I'm Brent Fox. And until next time,